The night had barely swallowed Atlanta's skyline when the first whisper broke loose, and by dawn it was a full-blown scandal setting the internet on fire. This wasn't some blurry screenshot of a club encounter or a rumor planted in the DMs of a gossip page. This was undeniable, glittering, champagne-soaked footage that turned whispers into screams. Kirk Frost, a man already known for playing the villain role too often in his marriage, was now the headline again, only this time the stakes weren't whispers in a comment section. This time it was yacht lights reflecting off the waves while Jasmine sat close enough to him for the entire city to choke on their popcorn. In the grainy 12 seconds that leaked first, every ounce of plausible deniability evaporated. No matter how many times Kirk tried to act like a businessman instead of a repeat offender, there was no spinning away from the way Jasmine leaned into him, touching his arm, laughing at something only they shared, the kind of laugh that doesn't belong in spreadsheets or contract talks. It belonged to intimacy, and intimacy is exactly what fans saw in that clip. By the time the video had been up for an hour, it was everywhere. The Shade Room stamped it with fire emojis. Hollywood Unlocked dropped it twice in 20 minutes. Every smaller Atlanta gossip blog replayed it in slow motion, zoomed in until the pixels themselves were screaming. People weren't even talking about Kirk at first. They weren't even dragging Jasmine. No, the city's attention turned instantly to Rasheeda. It was her name trending by Sunday morning. Rasheeda, the woman who had forgiven, endured, rebuilt, and reshaped herself in public only to wake up to another betrayal unraveling across her phone. And when the messages started hitting her inbox, from fans, from family, from castmates she hadn't even spoken to in weeks, her silence became more deafening than the footage itself. Because if you know Rasheeda, you know that when she goes quiet, she's not ignoring the drama. She's planning the detonation. The first insider to spill claimed Rasheeda was shaking when she saw the clip. Not crying, not pleading, not even demanding answers, shaking, like a storm waiting for lightning to strike. The very first call she made wasn't to Kirk, wasn't to Jasmine. It was to production. Because in her mind, this wasn't just a betrayal of her marriage. It was a betrayal of her storyline. She knew the second the video started circulating that cameras would be rolling before she even had a chance to catch her breath. And she wasn't about to let Kirk or Jasmine script her humiliation without her taking control of the narrative. By noon that Sunday, Rasheeda had stormed onto the set where Kirk was filming a confessional. He was seated in front of the usual backdrop, probably rehearsing the same lines he'd used in every other scandal. It's not what it looks like, people always try to twist things, I'm just out here handling business. But when Rasheeda burst into the lounge, she didn't come in soft. She slammed her phone down on the table so hard the sound echoed through the room. You want to explain this? She hissed, her screen looping the yacht footage for everyone in earshot. Kirk tried to stay cool, tried to lean back with that practiced calm he'd used before. It was business, he said. Jasmine had business. The word business nearly triggered an earthquake. Rasheeda cut him off before he could continue. Since when does business involve champagne at midnight and the moonlight reflecting in her hair? Since when does business involve you sneaking into cabins like a teenager? Since when does business end with you texting her that tonight was perfect? And that's where the plot thickened. Because while Rasheeda had been scrolling through his phone for answers, she stumbled on the very receipts Kirk thought he'd buried. A message thread with Jasmine that didn't just look incriminating, it sealed the coffin. His last message read, "Tonight was perfect. Same time next week." When she hurled his phone across the room, barely missing a lighting rig, it wasn't just an act of rage. It was the end of patience. Security moved in, production scrambled, but Rasheeda turned to the nearest camera and declared loud enough for every mic to catch it, "Y'all better keep those cameras rolling, because I'm about to end this storyline myself." By evening, the third leak hit. This time, not from the yacht deck but from inside. The short clip showed Jasmine feeding Kirk dessert from her fork, his grin wide as he leaned back in his chair. The intimacy wasn't speculation anymore, it was proof, and fans didn't need to read between the lines. They captioned it themselves, "That ain't business. That's date night." The hashtag Yachtgate was born, and with it came a storm that neither Kirk nor Jasmine could outrun. Cast members couldn't help themselves either. Young Jock jumped in with a cryptic tweet, "Funny how the water always finds a way to expose what's underneath." Carly Red left a single eye emoji under the clip, and the internet exploded with theories that Carly had more receipts waiting. Meanwhile, Rasheeda wasn't sulking at home. She was in her trailer, texting someone fans still haven't identified, someone who promised they had uncut yacht footage that would make everything look even worse. And when a still image leaked hours later, Kirk and Jasmine disappearing into the cabin doorway, the city combusted. By dawn, the cast group chat was in meltdown. Rasheeda finally broke her silence at 9:17 a.m. with one text, "Don't talk to me until the cameras are rolling." She wasn't just mad. She was planning to turn the set into a courtroom, and Kirk was about to stand trial. The crew shifted everything for that day. No brunch scenes, no lighthearted filler. The lounge became the battleground. When Kirk arrived, the tension was so thick it felt like a live grenade sat in the middle of the room. Rasheeda entered like a storm wrapped in sunglasses, every step echoing with intent. She didn't look at him, didn't flinch, didn't sit until every camera was in place. And when she finally took off her shades and locked eyes with him, she didn't hold back. Get what over with, she spat when Kirk muttered about wanting to just get things done. Your little boat party? Or the fact the entire city thinks you're back in bed with the same woman who nearly destroyed this marriage before. Kirk tried to keep his composure, repeating that it wasn't what it looked like. But Rasheeda shot back louder, sharper. Business doesn't involve sneaking into cabins at midnight. Business doesn't involve you sending her texts about perfect nights. Business doesn't involve dessert forks. The crew held their breath. And then the door opened. Jasmine walked in wearing white from head to toe, her hair styled like she knew she'd be on every screen in the city. She didn't look ashamed. She looked ready. Her smirk was the gasoline thrown onto a fire already burning. Wow, she said, scanning the room. The way y'all talk, you'd think we committed a crime. You might as well have, Rasheeda snapped. You've been a problem in my marriage for years, and you still don't know how to keep your distance. Jasmine stepped closer, her voice dripping with condescension. Distance? Or are you just mad that he actually listens to me when I talk about business? The cast gasped. Even Jock muttered under his breath, oh, she's trying it. Rasheeda's voice dropped into a dangerous growl, say that again. And Jasmine did. She leaned in, unafraid, and whispered the one thing no wife wants to hear. Maybe if you paid as much attention to your husband as you do your Instagram, he wouldn't need to come to me. The room braced for impact. Security moved closer. Cameras zoomed in. And just when fists were about to fly, a producer barged in holding a tablet. We've got a problem, he said, his voice tight. He pressed play, and the full cabin footage leaked right there in the lounge. The video didn't show them kissing, but it showed closeness that no married man should have with another woman, his arm draped behind her wearing his hat, them laughing like teenagers hiding secrets. That's it, Kirk said desperately, trying to spin it as innocent. Rasheeda shook her head slowly, her voice ice. You really think the internet is going to believe that looks innocent? Jasmine folded her arms and cut in, her voice sharp. I don't care what the internet thinks. I know what happened. But Rasheeda didn't blink. Do you? She snapped. Because the way you've been chasing clout since the day I met you, I wouldn't be surprised if you staged this whole thing yourself. Jasmine smirked. Funny. That's exactly what somebody said about you. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, the entire cast turning like wolves catching a new scent. Are you saying Rasheeda leaked her own husband's yacht footage? Jock asked. Jasmine didn't blink. I'm saying maybe this little scandal isn't as one-sided as it looks. That was the spark that changed everything. Because in that moment, it stopped being just Kirk versus Rasheeda. It became everyone versus everyone, with betrayal crawling through the walls. And then the producer's phone buzzed again, showing a new post from the same gossip account. A screenshot, taken from inside the lounge they were in at that very moment. Caption, the yacht was only the beginning. The real betrayal is in this room. The cast froze. Rasheeda's blood ran cold. If the yacht was only the beginning, then what came next was going to burn everything to the ground. The lounge went dead silent, the caption echoing in everyone's head like a gunshot. The yacht was only the beginning. The real betrayal is in this room. For a split second, nobody moved. Phones buzzed with notifications, cameras kept rolling, and every pair of eyes scanned the corners of the set like someone had planted a hidden device. Kirk muttered under his breath, this ain't even possible. Nobody's got their phones out except the crew. But that only made it worse. Because if no one inside had their phones visible, it meant someone was working from the shadows. Young Jock broke the silence, shaking his head. That's exactly the point. If somebody's leaking from inside production, it's already too late. They've been playing us like chess. Jasmine crossed her arms, smug as ever. Told you. Somebody in this room is feeding the blogs. Rasheeda's voice cut sharp. And why should we believe you? You've been the leak since day one. Jasmine shot back without hesitation. Because unlike some people, I'm not dumb enough to film myself mid-argument. The cast gasped. Security shifted uneasily. Kirk rubbed his temples, trying to calculate who stood to gain from all this, before Rasheeda could fire back. The producer's walkie-talkie crackled. A voice from the control room shouted, Camera 3 just picked up movement in the hallway. Everyone rushed to the monitor station. On the screen, a hooded figure slipped out the side door, moving quick. Head down, carrying a small black case. Zoom in, Rasheeda ordered, her voice low. The image enlarged just enough to show a gold chain with a diamond-studded initial pendant. Jock's eyes widened. Wait. I know that chain. He hesitated, then said the name that made the whole room explode. It's Bambi's. Gasps echoed. Jasmine scoffed instantly. What the hell would Bambi be doing here? She's not even filming this week. Jock shot her a look. That's exactly why it makes sense. Nobody would expect her. Kirk frowned, muttering, Bambi's got no reason to mess with me. Rasheeda narrowed her eyes. Unless she's got reason to mess with me. And then, as if summoned, the lounge door swung open. In walked Bambi, not in a hoodie, not sneaking, but tall, sleek, and unbothered. Her outfit black as midnight, her hair pulled tight, her eyes sharp. She didn't look caught. She looked ready. You want to know why, she said, her voice cutting through the tension. Because some of y'all been playing games too long. And it's about time karma showed up. The room erupted. So you admit it? Jasmine demanded. Bambi smirked. I admit I made sure the truth got out. If that makes me the villain, fine. I'll wear it. Rasheeda stepped forward, her tone deadly. You've been blowing up everyone's business like some reality TV vigilante. Bambi pulled a slim pen-shaped device from her bag, holding it up. This little thing? It's been catching everything, on the yacht, in the cabins, behind the scenes. You all act like you run this city, but last night showed the truth. And I've got it all on tape. Producers tried to intervene, warning her about contracts and consent, but Bambi cut them off cold. Please. The network won't stop me. They'll cut me a check before they ever silence me. You know ratings gold when you see it. Kendra, who had been silent in the corner, spoke up. So what's the plan, Bam? You gonna leak it all at once? Burn the whole house down? Bambi's smile spread slow and dangerous. Not all at once. Piece by piece. Just enough every week until the smoke chokes everybody in this cast. The lounge froze under her words. Rasheeda finally stepped into her space, her voice low enough to slice glass. If you're coming for me, you'd better not miss. Bambi didn't blink. Oh, I didn't miss. She tossed one last line over her shoulder as she left. Midnight. Watch your phones. The door slammed behind her, and the room sat in stunned silence. That night, Atlanta pulsed with tension. By 11:45, every cast member was glued to their phones, waiting for the drop. At 11:59, the notification lit up. Drop #YachtGate, full night. Viewer discretion advised. Rasheeda clicked instantly. The footage rolled, the pen camera had caught everything. Kirk and Jasmine clinking champagne glasses on the deck, his hand resting at the small of her back. Cut to the cabin, whispers, laughter, and then Jasmine's voice. Rasheeda doesn't even know about this deal yet. She's gonna lose it. Kirk's reply, she'll be fine once the money's in the bank. Rasheeda's stomach dropped. This wasn't about romance. This was about money, deals behind her back. The comments online erupted. They're plotting together. This ain't love, it's business. By 2 a.m., the final part of the clip showed Kirk kissing Jasmine lightly on the cheek before sliding into a waiting SUV. Then black screen, white letters, the truth is deeper than the water. Next drop, the deal.at her boutique. Rasheeda slammed her phone down, rage shaking her hands. This isn't just about a yacht. He's been cutting me out of my own plans. Her cousin whispered the thought no one wanted to say out loud. What if the deal they're talking about is your boutique expansion? Rasheeda's eyes hardened. Kirk hadn't just betrayed her marriage, he'd betrayed her empire. Across the city, gossip exploded. Jock went live sipping tea, telling thousands of fans, the water always finds what's underneath. Jasmine posted a smug boomerang sipping champagne with the caption unbothered. Kirk was spotted sneaking into a midtown condo carrying a fat manila envelope. And at 1:15 a.m., another teaser hit, a blurred image of a contract-stamped confidential agreement. Caption, if you thought the yacht was messy, wait until you see the numbers. By morning, chaos ruled the set. The crew whispered about the footage. Cast members side-eyed each other. And when Rasheeda walked in, she didn't waste time. She stormed straight to Kirk. You've been making deals with her behind my back, sneaking around on yachts like some midlife crisis bachelor. And I'm done pretending this marriage is fine for the cameras. Kirk barely lifted his eyes. There's nothing to talk about. Rasheeda's jaw locked. There's everything to talk about. Then the producer's phone buzzed again. The next drop had landed. This time it wasn't video, it was screenshots. Emails, texts, scanned contracts. Every one of them pointed to a boutique opening in Miami, a deal between Kirk and Jasmine worth hundreds of thousands. The kicker, Rasheeda's name wasn't anywhere on it. And the final message, Kirk to Jasmine 2 weeks earlier, read, once this opens, we won't need her. The lounge went still. Rasheeda's fists clenched. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She simply said, steady and cold, "You think the yacht was the problem, Kirk? No. This is the problem. And I'm about to fix it." Without another word, she turned and walked out. The cameras scrambled to follow. Kirk stayed slumped, muttering to himself, while the cast buzzed like hornets behind him. Outside, Rasheeda marched straight toward Jasmine. She found her lounging in the courtyard, sipping iced coffee, scrolling like the city wasn't on fire. Rasheeda's voice cracked like thunder, "Enjoying your little moment?" Jasmine looked up, smirking. "Oh hey. I figured you'd be home writing another women supporting women post." The dig landed, but Rasheeda didn't blink. She stepped closer, her voice sharp. "You think this is about a yacht? No. This is about you trying to steal what I built. You and Kirk making plans like I don't exist. That's the part that's going to cost you." Jasmine tilted her head, mocking. "Cost me? Honey, I'll make more in Miami in 1 month than you make in a year selling rhinestone belts." Gasps rippled from the small crowd forming around them. Even Jock whistled low, but Rasheeda only smiled, cold, sharp. She pulled her phone and tapped a few times before holding it up. Screenshots filled the screen, transfers, drafts, and one damning email from Jasmine to a developer. Subject line, "As discussed, Rasheeda will be out of the picture." Jasmine's smirk faltered for the first time. "Where'd you get that?" she demanded. Rasheeda leaned in. "Let's just say your partner isn't as loyal as you think." Whispers rippled. Kirk had slipped outside now, watching with clenched jaw. Jasmine tried to recover, sneering. "Those could be fake." Rasheeda's voice rose, steady. "They're real. And if you don't believe me, ask the blogs, because in 5 minutes, they're getting all of it. Plus a little bonus." Jasmine narrowed her eyes. "What bonus?" Rasheeda leaned in close. "The footage of you and Kirk in that Miami hotel. 3 months ago. You know, the one that wasn't business." Jasmine's mask cracked. She laughed, but her eyes flickered. "You don't have that." Rasheeda stepped back, her voice loud enough for everyone. "She doesn't think I have it. Let's see how confident she feels when it drops." And then Rasheeda's phone buzzed again. A new teaser lit the screen, a photo of a flash drive on a marble countertop. Caption, "The final piece drops tonight. The one that shows who's really been pulling the strings." The crowd went silent. Kirk's face fell. Jasmine's smirk disappeared completely. Rasheeda pocketed her phone, her voice calm but loaded with fire. "Guess we'll all find out tonight." By the time the clock hit 11:50 p.m., Atlanta felt like it was holding its breath. The flash drive teaser had turned the scandal from messy reality TV chaos into something darker, like a crime thriller waiting to explode. Every gossip page was live, every fan was refreshing, and every cast member had their phone gripped like it was a detonator. Rasheeda paced her living room, her cousin and 2 friends watching silently as the seconds ticked down. Kirk sat stiff on the couch, leg bouncing, pretending not to care but clearly unraveling. Across town, Jasmine posted a black screen story with a single word, tick.at 11:59, the drop hit, final piece, the puppet master. Rasheeda tapped before she even thought. The footage opened in a dimly lit office, papers scattered across a desk, a laptop open with a folder labeled Season 14 Assets. The camera panned slowly, shaky but clear enough to show the man sitting at the desk. It wasn't Kirk. It wasn't Jasmine. It wasn't Bambi. It was one of the executive producers of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the same man who had pushed bigger storylines all season, the same one who convinced the cast to lean into their mess for ratings. He was flipping through screenshots of texts, reviewing raw video files, even making notes on when to leak what. And then his voice broke the silence, speaking into a phone. "We're almost there. Once Rasheeda sees the yacht clip, she'll go after Jasmine. Kirk will slip. Then we leak the Miami deal. By the reunion, they'll implode on camera." Rasheeda froze where she stood, the words hitting like gunshots. Kirk whispered under his breath, "Oh, hell no." The footage cut again. The producer laughed, adding, "The flash drive is for the finale. We'll drop it right before the reunion, so they won't have time to recover. By the end of the season, they'll hate each other." Ratings gold. The camera zoomed in as he slid the drive into his desk drawer, the same one from the teaser. Photo. Then the screen jumped again. Security footage this time. Late night. A hooded figure slipping into the office, pulling that same flash drive from the drawer, and walking out. The camera froze as the hood fell back. It was Bambi, the final. Caption filled the screen, "She stole it. We dropped it. Now you know." The internet went nuclear. Twitter threads lit up like fireworks. The producer was behind it all. Bambi was the thief. This season is scripted chaos. Fans argued in real time, was Bambi a hero for exposing the truth or just another messy opportunist? Blogs stamped headlines. Before the footage was even over, Love and hip-hop producer exposed as puppet master behind Yacht scandal. At Rasheeda's house, silence pressed and heavy. Kirk ran a hand over his face. "We've been played." But Rasheeda shook her head slowly. "No, Kirk. We let ourselves be played. We gave them the ammo." Across town, Bambi went live to 60,000 viewers, her face lit by her phone screen. "I told y'all," she said. "I wasn't leaking for clout. I was leaking because the truth had to come out. They've been puppeteering us for years. Now you've seen it with your own eyes." Her comments split instantly, half calling her brave, half calling her just as manipulative as the producers she exposed. And just when the chaos couldn't get louder, the gossip page dropped one last text-only post: "The reunion tapes next week. The producers are still in charge. And we're still watching." By morning, every entertainment site had grabbed the story. Headlines screamed, "Producer Mastermind's betrayal. Bambi's late-night heist breaks the internet. Is season 14 even real anymore?" The network issued a bland statement about ongoing internal reviews, but fans weren't buying it. They swore they'd boycott, but everyone knew they'd be front row when the reunion aired. At the Frost House, Rasheeda sat across from Kirk, coffee in hand, eyes sharp. "You realize they'll spin this however they want, right? They'll turn us into exactly what they need." Kirk nodded grimly. "Then maybe it's time we flip it. Not for them. For us." Rasheeda arched a brow. "You're actually suggesting we work together?" Kirk's laugh was humorless. "It's already ugly. Might as well give them a storyline they can't control." And that's when it shifted. The scandal was no longer just about a yacht, or even Jasmine. It wasn't about Bambi's leaks or Miami contracts. It was about the war between the cast and the puppet masters who had been pulling their strings. Rasheeda wasn't just fighting for her marriage anymore. She was fighting for control of her own life. The flash drive had blown open the truth, but it also left one terrifying question hanging in the air: if producers had been scripting betrayals all along, then how many of the fights, the leaks, the so-called coincidences were real? And with reunion week approaching, one thing was certain: the game wasn't over. It was only just beginning.